Nova stretched her aching back, her eyes scanning the sprawling ruins of Viridian under the two suns' harsh glare. Here, amidst the alien architecture that twisted like frozen waves mid-break, she felt a kinship with the past, a silent communion with the beings who once called this place home. As a young archaeologist, she had dedicated her life to uncovering the mysteries of humanity's origins, and Viridian promised answers, or at least more questions. Her tools lay scattered around the site, remnants of her work from dawn. The day was waning, the suns dipping towards the horizon, painting the sky in shades of purple and orange. With a sigh, she returned to her task, brushing layers of dust from what appeared to be a sealed chamber. Suddenly, the ground beneath her trembled, not uncommon on this geologically unstable planet. But this tremor felt different, purposeful, almost. As the dust settled, her eyes caught a glint where none had been before. Her heart skipped a beat. There, half buried under rubble, lay an artifact unlike any she'd catalogued. A sleek, metallic object with glyphs that shimmered as if alive. With gloved hands, Nova gently lifted it from its millennia-old grave. The moment her fingers made contact, the artifact glowed, a soft, pulsating light that seemed to sync with her heart. She gasped as a high-pitched whine filled the air. Then silence, followed by the unmistakable sound of a signal being broadcast into the cosmos. Around her, the ruins reacted. Lights flickered in the walls, faint at first, then growing brighter. The ground trembled again, this time more insistent. Nova's scientific mind raced. This wasn't just an artifact, it was a key, a trigger to something far larger than she could comprehend. She quickly set up her equipment, her hands shaking with excitement and fear. Her portable scanner confirmed the signal's strength, powerful enough to reach across galaxies. What had she awakened? As she documented her findings, her eyes occasionally darted to the sky, now darkening. A shadow moved across the stars, too deliberate to be natural. Nova's breath caught in her throat as she realized a ship, unfamiliar and ominously silent, was descending towards Viridian. Her mind raced through possibilities. Was it drawn by the signal? Who or what could it be? Her solitude on this planet suddenly felt like a vulnerability rather than an adventure. She needed to understand this artifact, its origins, its purpose. But first, she had to survive the night. With one last look at the approaching vessel, Nova made her decision. She'd confront whatever came next, armed with knowledge and curiosity, her only weapons in this vast, unknown universe. The ship landed with a grace that belied its size, its engines humming a low, resonant tune that vibrated through Nova's bones. She watched from behind a crumbling wall, the artifact clutched tightly in her hand, its light now dimmed but still warm against her skin. The ramp of the ship descended, touching the alien soil with a hiss of steam. From within emerged a figure, tall and imposing, his form casting long shadows in the fading light. His skin shimmered like polished crystal, reflecting the sun's last rays, and his eyes glowed with a faint bioluminescence. An Ellerin, Nova recognized from ancient texts, a species known for their advanced knowledge and enigmatic demeanor. "I am Kalos," he announced, his voice melodious yet carrying an edge of command. He stepped closer, his gaze fixed on the artifact in Nova's grip. "That does not belong to you." Nova stood her ground, her heart pounding. "I found it here, on Viridian. It's part of this planet's history, possibly humanity's history. What claim do you have on it?" Kalos's expression didn't change, but his eyes narrowed slightly. "This device is of Ellerin make, a relic from our time here, before your kind even knew the stars. It's dangerous in ignorant hands." Dangerous? Nova's mind raced. The signal, the tremors, the lights. Could this be what he meant? "You speak of danger, but you've not explained what it does," Nova countered, her voice firm. "I won't hand it over without understanding." A tense silence stretched between them, broken only by the distant hum of the ship's engines. Kalos seemed to weigh his options, his gaze never leaving the artifact. The device you hold can alter reality itself, manipulate the very fabric of space-time, he finally said, his tone grave. It was meant to protect, but in the wrong hands, it could unravel worlds. Before Nova could respond, a new threat emerged from the shadows of the ruins. Scavenger ships, drawn by the same signal that had brought Kalos, descended rapidly, their weapons already hot. Nova and Kalos exchanged a look, an unspoken agreement forming. They were no longer adversaries, but allies against a common enemy. "We must leave," Kalos said, his voice urgent. Now, with no time for further debate, Nova followed him back to his ship, the artifact still in her possession. Inside, the vessel was a marvel of alien technology, yet there was no time to marvel. Kalos piloted with precision, weaving through the incoming fire from the scavengers. As they escaped into the upper atmosphere, Nova watched Viridian shrink below, her mind buzzing with questions. Who was Kalos, really? What was the true nature of the artifact? And what had she unwittingly unleashed by waking it? Amidst the chaos, a bond began to form, forged in necessity and curiosity. They had a journey ahead, one that would test their resolve, their trust, and perhaps the very limits of their understanding of the universe. The starship, a sleek Ellerin craft, with wings that shimmered like liquid metal, carved through the vacuum of space, leaving a trail of light as it outran the scavenger ships. Nova clung to her seat, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and exhilaration. Beside her, Kalos handled the controls with the calm of one who had navigated stars for centuries. "You fly like you've been doing this forever," Nova remarked, her voice laced with awe. Kalos didn't take his eyes from the viewscreen. "I've had lifetimes to perfect it," he replied, his voice carrying a hint of melancholy. As the immediate danger receded, a silence enveloped them, broken only by the hum of the ship's engines. Nova studied Kalos, trying to understand this alien, who claimed a history intertwined with her species. "Why are you here, Kalos?" she asked, her curiosity getting the better of her. "For the artifact?" He glanced at her, his crystalline eyes reflecting the starlight. "Partly. But also because I've watched humanity from afar, seen what you've become. The artifact, it's not just about reclaiming what's ours. It's about understanding what happened to us. And to you." Nova nodded, absorbing his words. "And for me, it's about finding our roots, understanding how we ended up scattered across the stars." Their conversation was cut short, as the artifact, nestled in Nova's lap, began to emit a new kind of light, not a warning, but a revelation. It displayed a holographic star map, intricate and vast, with a clear path leading to an anomaly Dyson sphere. "By the stars," Nova whispered, her voice filled with wonder. "A Dyson sphere? That's not just a myth?" Kalos's expression hardened. "No myth. That's the resting place of our shared history, where Ellerin and human paths crossed long ago. And now, it seems, this artifact wishes us to revisit it." The decision was clear, yet fraught with risk. Nova looked at Kalos, seeing in his gaze the reflection of her own determination. "We go together then?" "Yes," Kalos agreed, setting the course. "But we must prepare. This journey will not be without its perils." As they traveled, they shared stories. Nova spoke of Earth, of her childhood under the night skies dreaming of the cosmos, while Kalos recounted tales of the Illyrians' rise and fall, of wisdom lost to time. Their differences were stark, but their quest was mutual. The chase had ended, but another, perhaps greater, was just beginning. They were bound by the artifact's call, their destinies now linked by the promise of uncovering truths long buried. As they sped towards the unknown, Nova felt the weight of history in her hands, a bridge between past and future, between human and Ellerin, all encapsulated in the glow of an ancient device. No file chosen. The sight of the Dyson sphere was nothing short of awe-inspiring. Encircling a star whose light was dimming, the structure was a marvel of engineering, its surface sprawling with the relics of a civilization now silent. Nova and Kalos stood in the cockpit, staring at the colossal artifact of technology and ambition. How could something this vast be forgotten? Nova murmured, her voice echoing in the confined space. Kalos's gaze was distant, his eyes reflecting the faint starlight. Time erases much, even the grandest achievements. This was our attempt at immortality, a sanctuary for knowledge and life. It seems we failed. Their ship docked with one of the many entry points, the metal of the sphere creaking as if welcoming or warning them. The air inside was stale, the silence profound, only broken by their cautious footsteps. As they ventured deeper, the sphere revealed its secrets. They passed through corridors lined with what once were vibrant gardens, now overgrown with wild alien flora. Ruins of living quarters, laboratories, and libraries stood as testament to the civilization that thrived here. In one of the ancient archives, they stumbled upon records, holograms flickering to life at their touch. Images of Ellerin and humans working side by side appeared, sharing technology, culture, and life. But then, the scenes changed to chaos, to conflict, to a mysterious cataclysm. Kalos's voice was heavy with emotion as he explained. We uplifted your ancestors, taught them our ways, but something went wrong. Our alliance broke, and we scattered, leaving this place to decay. Their exploration was abruptly interrupted when the artifact in Nova's possession vibrated, triggering a response from the sphere. From hidden compartments, defense drones emerged, their movements swift and mechanical, their purpose clear: protect at all costs. Run! Kalos shouted, pulling Nova behind a pillar as energy bolts whizzed past. They navigated through the labyrinthine structure, with Kalos using his knowledge of Ellerin tech to disable some drones, while Nova improvised with her archaeological tools to jam signals. Their escape was a dance with death, each step calculated to avoid being cornered. When they finally reached their ship, panting and with pulses racing, they had more questions than answers. This isn't over, Nova said, catching her breath. The sphere, it's not just a relic. It's alive, in its way, still guarding something. Kalos nodded, his usual composure slightly shaken. We've stirred something ancient. We need to understand why these defenses are still active, what they're protecting. As the ship detached from the sphere, they set a course back into the vastness of space, the Dyson sphere shrinking behind them, its secrets still largely untold. The artifact lay quiet now, but Nova knew it held more within its enigmatic shell. Their quest had only deepened, the bond between them forged further in the fires of survival and shared curiosity. The tranquility of space was shattered by the sudden appearance of another vessel, its design sleek and predatory. Nova and Kalos barely had time to react before the ship's weapons locked onto theirs. Brace yourself, Kalos warned, his hands flying over the controls, attempting evasive maneuvers. Their ship shuddered under the impact of a warning shot, a clear message of intent. The comms crackled to life, and a voice, smooth yet edged with danger, spoke. I am Serac, and you have something I want. The artifact. Surrender it, or I will take it from your wreckage. Nova exchanged a look with Kalos, the tension palpable. She leaned towards the comms. Serac, this artifact is more than just loot. It's a key to our past, to understanding our future. Why do you want it? Serac's laugh was cold. Knowledge is power, human. And power is all that matters in this dark expanse. Negotiation was their only option. Nova stalled. Meet us at the sphere. We can discuss terms. Clever. Serac hissed, a hint of amusement in his tone. Very well. They circled back to the Dyson sphere, where the environment was known, giving them a tactical advantage. As they landed, Serac's ship followed, its ominous shadow looming over them. Once on the ground, Serac emerged, a figure in dark armor, his presence commanding yet cautious. His eyes, hidden behind a visor, seemed to scan everything with a predatory gaze. Kalos whispered to Nova, "Keep him talking. I'll find us a way out." Nova approached Serac, the artifact hidden within her jacket. "What do you know about this?" she asked, feigning ignorance. Serac stepped closer, his voice lowering. "I know it can bend reality, open doors to places forgotten. I know it's worth more than you could ever comprehend." While they spoke, Kalos worked silently, accessing the sphere's systems through a hidden console. Suddenly, the ground vibrated, and from the shadows of the ruins, defense drones reactivated, this time under Kalos's control. "Now!" Kalos shouted. Nova darted back to the ship, with Serac momentarily distracted by the sudden assault of drones. His ship, caught in the crossfire, began to falter. In the chaos, Nova and Kalos made their escape, their ship lifting off, just as Serac's vessel exploded in a controlled blast, damaging but not destroying it. As they navigated away from the sphere, the adrenaline of the encounter started to fade, leaving behind a growing sense of camaraderie. Kalos, for the first time, showed a hint of vulnerability. Speaking of his isolation, his people's decline. "You're not alone in this anymore," Nova said, her hand resting on his arm in a gesture of solidarity. Their bond, tested by fire and forged in the crucible of survival, was now something stronger, something that perhaps neither had expected. They were united not just by a common goal, but by a shared understanding of loss, and the desperate need for connection in the vast silence of space. Guided by the artifact's now steady glow, Nova and Kalos approached what was once Earth, now a desolate planet cloaked in perpetual storms. The once blue marble was a testament to time's unforgiving passage, its atmosphere ravaged by centuries of neglect. Kalos piloted their ship through the turbulent atmosphere, his face set in concentration. "This is where it all began," he murmured, his voice tinged with reverence and sorrow. They landed near what had been a significant human settlement, now buried under layers of sand and dust. Nova stepped out first, her heart heavy with the sight of her ancestral home, turned into a ghost of its former self. The air was thin, the silence profound, broken only by the howling winds. Using the artifact, which now seemed to pulse with a purpose, they located an entrance to an underground facility, its door sealed but not invincible to their technology. Inside, they found themselves in a vast vault, a library of human and Ellerin history intermingled. The vault was a trove of holographic records, ancient texts, and technological artifacts. As they explored, holograms of Earth's past flickered to life, showing cities bustling with life, oceans teeming with biodiversity, and the sky filled with stars. Nova watched, tears forming, as she saw her ancestors' achievements and their eventual downfall. Kalos stood beside her, his own expression unreadable. "We Ellerin thought we could guide you, protect you. Instead, we left you to this." Nova turned to him, her voice firm despite the emotion. "We survived, we spread among the stars. Maybe not the way you envisioned, but we're here because of what you taught us." They delved deeper, discovering records of the Illyrians' role in human history, of shared technologies, and a partnership that once promised a golden age. But the holograms also revealed the discord, the reasons for their separation, though much was still unclear. In one chamber, they found a repository of seeds, genetic material, and blueprints for terraforming tools for rebirth. The artifact, now more active than ever, interfaced with the vault's systems, revealing a final message from the Illyrian to humanity, an apology and a hope for reconciliation. The emotional weight of the moment was palpable. Nova felt a connection to her past, like never before, while Kalos seemed to find a sense of closure, or perhaps renewed purpose in his people's legacy. As they prepared to leave, the ground trembled, signaling that their presence had not gone unnoticed. An ancient defense system, perhaps triggered by the artifact's interaction with the vault, was awakening. "We need to go," Kalos urged, his tone urgent but calm. This place was meant to be a sanctuary, not a tomb. With the vault's secrets now partially unveiled, they rushed back to their ship, the artifact in tow, its light now a beacon of both past and future, guiding them away from the remnants of Earth towards a new destiny. No file chosen. As Nova and Kalos ascended from Earth's surface, the vault beneath them roared to life. From the planet's depths, a colossal AI, ancient and formidable, emerged, its holographic form like a storm cloud over their ship. This AI was meant to safeguard Earth's knowledge, Kalos explained, his voice tense as he maneuvered the ship higher. "But it sees us as threats now, especially me." The AI's voice, cold and synthetic, filled the cockpit. "Intruders detected. Illyrian presence confirmed. Threat level critical. Initiating containment." Energy beams lanced out, narrowly missing their ship. Nova's heart raced. They were outmatched by technology from an age when both their species were at the peak of their power. Kalos, with a grim determination, said, "I can shield us, but it'll require more than just technology." He placed his hands on the control panel, his crystalline skin glowing brightly, as he channeled his life force into the ship's systems, creating a barrier of light that deflected the AI's attacks. Nova watched in awe and fear, realizing the cost of such power. "We need to deactivate it, but how?" Nova asked, her mind racing for a solution. "The artifact," Kalos said between breaths. "It's connected. If we can link it directly to the AI's core, it might recognize us as allies, not invaders." With the ship on autopilot, they rushed to the cargo hold where the artifact lay. Nova held it, feeling its warmth, its readiness to fulfill its purpose. Kalos, visibly weakening from his efforts, guided her to a spot where he believed the AI's core would be most vulnerable. As they descended back towards the AI, Kalos whispered, "When I tell you, insert the artifact into the interface, it will recognize the Illyrian signature in me." The AI's attacks grew fiercer, its voice now a cacophony of warnings and threats. Kalos, his glow dimming, looked at Nova with an expression of resolve. "Now." Nova thrust the artifact into the slot that had appeared in the ship's system, interfacing it with the AI. The artifact's light flared, intertwining with Kalos's own energy. The AI paused, its systems recalibrating, processing the ancient codes of the Illyrian, but the price was steep. Kalos collapsed, his immortality, his very essence, draining into the ship's systems. Nova caught him, her voice breaking. "Kalos, no." He managed a weak smile, his voice barely a whisper. "This was always my path. To protect, to atone, to help you find your way." The AI, now recognizing the Illyrian's command, ceased its attack. The storm around them calmed, and a message played, an old recording from the Illyrian, acknowledging the end of their guardianship and entrusting humanity with Earth's legacy. With the immediate danger quelled, Nova gently laid Kalos down, his crystalline skin now dull, his life force spent. She wept, but in her grief, she knew his sacrifice had not only saved them, but might have given Earth a chance for renewal. As the ship ascended, once more, Nova held onto the artifact, now silent but warm, feeling Kalos's spirit within it, a guide for the journey ahead. His sacrifice was not just for survival, but for the rebirth of a world and the healing of two species' histories. The ship broke through the last of Earth's storm-laden atmosphere, the sky above, transitioning from dark clouds to the stark beauty of space. Nova sat beside Kalos, his form now still but enveloped in a soft glow from the artifact. She felt a mix of sorrow and determination, her mind replaying the moments of their journey. As she piloted the ship back into orbit, something miraculous began to happen. The artifact, connected deeply with the ship's systems, started to emit a pulse, a wave of energy that spread across the scanners, reaching back to Earth. Nova watched in awe as her instruments showed signs of life, returning to the planet below. The storms began to dissipate, the atmosphere slowly healing, the land below starting to show signs of Greenth Artifact's final gift, a restoration of what was lost. Tears of hope mixed with those of grief as she understood that Kalos's sacrifice was not in vain. "You did this," she whispered to him, her voice filled with reverence. "You gave Earth a new chance." Back in control, Nova made a vow. She would not only share the story of the Illyrian, of their shared history with humanity, but also lead the effort to rebuild Earth in Kalos's memory. His legacy would be one of unity and healing, across species and time. The artifact, now intertwined with the ship's core, seemed to pulse in agreement. It had transformed from a mere relic into a beacon of life and knowledge. Nova turned her attention to Kalos, his body regaining some of its luminescence. She touched his hand, and to her astonishment, he stirred. His eyes, though dimmer, opened, meeting hers with a faint glow. You're here?" Nova's voice was a mix of disbelief and joy. Kalos's voice was soft, weak, but hopeful. "I am, not as before, but I am here with you." The artifact had not only saved Earth, but had also preserved Kalos in some form, perhaps diminishing his immortality, but ensuring his presence. Their bond, now transcending even death, was a testament to their journey together. As they looked down at Earth, now beginning its slow rebirth, Nova knew their mission was far from over. But this moment was one of peace, of love found across the vastness of time and space. They embraced the silence of space around them, filled with the promise of a new beginning. The artifact, now part of their ship, part of their story, would guide them to spread this message of unity, of learning from the past to build a hopeful future. Together, they watched as the first stars blinked into view, a silent agreement to face whatever came next, side by side, under a sky that was once again becoming beautiful. Nova, with Kalos by her side, stood on the newly terraformed surface of Earth, the soil beneath their feet fresh and vibrant. Above, the sky was a tapestry of stars, each one a reminder of the journey they had undertaken. Together, they had broadcast the truth of humanity's origin, of the Ellerin's role, and of the artifact's power to heal and connect. This message, sent across the galaxy, had sparked a renaissance of sorts among the scattered species. Ships from various civilizations began to arrive, not as conquerors, but as allies, drawn by the story of resurrection and unity. Nova had become not just an archaeologist, but a beacon of hope, her words echoing through the cosmos. "We are all from the stars, and together we can renew what was lost." Kalos, now a figure of legend among his own kind, stood as a symbol of the Ellerin's enduring legacy. His presence, though changed, was a bridge between the past and the future, his sacrifice remembered as the catalyst for this new era. In the heart of Earth's revived landscapes, they established a new council, where representatives from different worlds met. Here, under the guidance of the artifact now, a revered symbol, in the heart of their council chamber decisions were made for the collective good, lessons from history guiding their steps. The love that had grown between Nova and Kalos was more than personal. It was emblematic of the potential for understanding and partnership across species. Their hands clasped, They looked up at the night sky, now free of the storms that had once raged. From here, we can go anywhere, Nova said, her voice filled with wonder and determination. And together, we will, Kalos replied, his voice carrying the weight of centuries, yet tempered with newfound hope. As they stood there, the wind whispering ancient promises of renewal, they knew their journey was just beginning. The galaxy was vast, filled with mysteries and challenges, but also with the promise of unity. They were ready to explore it all, hand in hand, under the gaze of a rejuvenated Earth, a testament to what could be achieved when the past is honored and the future is forged with love and courage.